Greetings everyone, welcome back to Blade Bias. About a week ago, maybe a little more, I made a video about the speed channel Prysma V1 that Ted sent over, and he had a very interesting proposition. He wanted to trade his speed channel Prysma V1 for my unspeed channeled Prysma V1. A very simple trade. He preferred the balance on the non-speed channeled version and wanted to see if I would want to try out the speed channel version and maybe do a trade. My Prysma is way back from right after Blade Show 2022, so it's old. This thing is fairly new, considering the speed channels only came out like at the end of last year. But now I must make a decision. Will I trade my Prysma V1? And I think the answer to that might surprise a lot of people, because this is also going to serve as my I spent a week with the speed channel thing, and I love the balance on this thing. It's light, it's effortless to flip. The balance is slightly more neutral than the original Prysma somehow. It feels amazing. The distribution is great. The ring is even really good. The sound is really good. I overall love the Prysma V1 speed channel, and it makes me very interested to try out a speed channeled Prysma Pro, especially with how this has changed the balance. I think a speed channel Prysma Pro could be my favorite flipper of all time, unironically. Now, I say that a lot of people, this is actually my chance to address this, a lot of people send me messages saying like, hey, I'd love to send you this or send you that. And while I really, really appreciate that people want to do that, I don't generally, as a policy, take people's personal units that they send to me. So if you've offered that in the past, or if you want to offer that, if you have a speed channel Prysma Pro that you want to send me, I'm going to say no. I'm sorry. I know I do it from Ted, but Ted is a friend and someone who I trust quite a bit. So while I really, really appreciate you wanting me to do that, I don't like using people's personal units for videos. I don't want you to go through shipping and doing the risk of sending it to some guy that you realistically don't know. It's a lot. So while I appreciate you wanting that, my status as a YouTuber should not make me more inherently trustworthy than anyone else, and I don't want anything to happen to you guys' knives. So just quick on that. But will I trade this? I don't think I will. And there's one, I know that sounds crazy considering how much it just praised it. There's one very specific reason for that. My Slift V2 trainer. The Slift V2 is, by all intents and purposes, a titanium Prysma. It's the same basic dimensions. It's got a very similar hole pattern. It's got the same blade. And while they don't flip anywhere near each other, in my opinion, because, you know, the Prysma has completely filled in handles and it has these weights at the bottom, which I don't have at the bottom of the Slift V2, and there's a lot that goes into making it different. The thing about the speed channeled Prysma is it brings the distribution more in line with the Slift T, because you have the exact same speed channel. It's like the same dimensions and same position and everything. So the distribution, not the balance, the distribution feels very similar to a Slift V2. And I like all my ballast songs in my collection to have some sort of uniqueness to them, especially when I've paid my own money for them, because the Prysma is everything that I have from Machine Wise are things that I bought with my own money, which is, you know, crazy, because usually people are like, oh my gosh, you're going to praise everything so much because you got them for free. It's like the things that I praise the most I bought with my own money, so don't really know about that one. I mean, I'm sure it's true in some cases, but in this case specifically, yeah, these are all me. I've spent more money on Machine Wise than I think I have on any other maker combined. Not combined, that would be crazy. But actually, no, the Slift T is one of my most valuable ballast songs. That's a side tangent that I don't need to go on right now. The speed channeled Prysma Pro feels very similar to the distribution of a Slift T. It's not the same balance. I think the Slift T has a little more handle bias. The Prysma speed channeled feels a little bit like lighter, a little bit more neutral, a little less wobbly, but the distribution is there. And the Prysma V1 without the speed channels, I can't really make that comparison. It feels really good to my hand. I prefer the sound. I prefer the build, in all honesty, because this makes the Prysma feel a little too light for my preferences. It's not much. Like it's very, very subtle, but it makes the Prysma V1 feel a lot lighter and less substantial, which isn't a bad thing. Like I would definitely enjoy that. In fact, I would really enjoy that on something like a Prysma Pro, which if you'd knock off a little bit of handle bias on this thing, would that was rough. I would absolutely be probably one of my favorite flippers. So I really like this, but it makes it a little too similar to this for me. I can get that similar experience flipping the Slift T, and the Slift T is almost perfectly along what I consider to be like my preferences on weight and all of that, and it just feels a little heftier. It also has like the same ring. Well, the Prysma V1 feels completely unique. Without the speed channel, sorry. It feels completely unique in my collection. It doesn't feel like the Slift T because it's got a different distribution profile. It doesn't feel like the Prysma Pro because it's got a different distribution and balance profile. It's very good. So while I really appreciate the offer from Ted, I don't think I'm going to be taking him up on that, simply because it would make the Prysma V2 or make the Prysma V1 kind of blend in my collection. When right now, I mean, I still own this thing. This is one that I could very easily sell because I like the Prysma Pro a little bit better just for the handle shape. But I haven't sold it because it's still really fun and I still really like it. And even though it has that annoying blade spine, it's still a Balisong that I want in my collection. And I don't think that would be the case if I got the Speed Channel one. I think the Speed Channel one would be kind of overtaken by other things in my collection, and then it would get sold off fairly quickly. And since I would be the one directly profiting off of Ted in that situation, because this is technically more valuable than this, especially given this is new and basically mint, this is old, kind of beat up, has the old blade spine, etc. I don't want to do that to Ted. So I'll be sending the Speed Channel Prysma Pro back to him. I really appreciate him for sending out all the things in the package that he did. This will be my last video on his package, because while the Zippy Vulp video was my unboxing, my opinions have not really changed on it. So here's your update on the Zippy Vault Pro. It's really good. Nothing has really changed. It's less wobbly, it's lighter, it carries less momentum. I think I prefer the balance on the Zippy than without. But I don't think that is kind of worth making a whole nother video about when I would essentially just be reiterating the same points. So this will be the last video that I do with the package from Ted. I want to thank him so much for sending this stuff out and giving me this Bally slip, which I currently have the Canyon in. I'll be doing a bonus bias video on this in the future. The guy that makes these actually sells them, and that is pretty cool. But thank you so much, Ted, for sending me this stuff to check out. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.